So, my friend and I used to Skype a lot. We would talk almost every day, but we never met in person. He lived in Wisconsin and I lived in California. We met through many different mutual friends. Anyway, I haven't heard from him since the most horrifying moment in my life happened a few weeks ago. I logged onto Skype and called my friend Xavier. He picked up, and when his webcam turned on, he was sitting against a wall in a dark room, his face only visible because of his laptop screen. "Hey man, what's up?" I said, a little confused by his scared and worried face. Nothing much, just, hang on, I'll tell you right now," he said, bringing his laptop into his kitchen and sitting at the table. Where he sat, there was a large open space behind him. "Okay, so you might think I'm crazy, but for the past few hours, I've been alone and there's been, knocks and taps and stuff. And when I go to investigate, I swear I see a shadow or something, just to talk to me for, He got cut off. He stared into the area behind his laptop, where I couldn't see. "What happened?" I asked. I think I heard another knock from the living room. Dude, I'm seriously freaking out right now. My parents won't be home for another 2 or 3 hours, so please stay with me until then," he begged. "No worries, bro. I'm not going anywhere." I would normally say he's crazy and overreacting, but I could hear the fear in his voice. "Hey, why don't you turn on the lights? That might make you feel better, or turn on the radio. A loud noise helps make fear go away for some reason. My power's out. What about your laptop?" "It's on 75%, so we have a while. Definitely enough to last till my parents get home at least." "Oh shit, this place is creaking and moaning." "It's alright bro, I'm here. Did you tell your parents about the power?" I asked. "Yeah, they just told me to make sure the doors and the windows were locked and that they would be home in a few hours. They went to Illinois, so they're pretty far," he said. As he was saying that, something behind him caught my eye. In the corner of his kitchen, there was a tall black figure, barely visible in the darkness. "Xavier." We had a code phrase to pay attention to small things the other was trying to say in secret. "Pay it close." "Alright, when?" He knew. "There's..." I tapped on my table. "This thing about someone." I tapped again. "Who's standing?" Another tap. "On this huge stage behind." I tapped again. "Some famous person. I think he has the same last name as you." Last tap. The colour from his face drained as he knew I was trying to say someone was standing behind him. "Wait, like an article?" He shakily played along. "I don't know. I think I'm just tired and getting a little loopy," I said. "Well, just..." The figure behind him ran towards him and put its hands over his mouth. The thing put him in a headlock and dragged him into the closet. I watched as Xavier fought with all his strength. The door closed, and the call ended. I sat there, completely horrified and paralyzed by what had just happened. I snapped out of it and called Xavier, but it went straight to voicemail. Of course, I called the police, but they couldn't find him. I wasn't recording the Skype call either, so they couldn't use it as evidence or for the investigation. I haven't heard from Xavier in 3 weeks, and I honestly don't know if it was just a cruel joke or not. Yesterday morning, I got back to my dorm room around 8:30 in the morning after a trip home for the weekend. As soon as I got my stuff put away, I called my girlfriend on Skype. We talked for a little while, but I was really tired and so I fell asleep. I woke up a couple of hours later when my alarm went off for class, around 11:30. I noticed my girlfriend had also fallen asleep with Skype on, but I just left it up, figuring she'd be awake when I got back from class anyway.
I studied for the oral exam I was getting ready to take, and at 12:30 my roommate and I left our dorm room for class. We were finished with our oral exams at 1:05, and we walked back to our dorm room together. While I was in the hallway, not 20 feet from my dorm room, my girlfriend's ringtone started playing, and I noticed I had a couple of texts I hadn't read yet. My phone is out of minutes for the month, so I didn't answer her call, but I read the text message from her as my roommate and I walked toward our room. When I read it, I literally froze in the middle of the hallway and grabbed my roommate's arm. My girlfriend's text said, "Why won't you answer me? I see you moving." At first, I thought it was a joke or maybe the breeze from the open window rustling my blankets, so I made myself start walking again and replied, "Not possible, babe. I'm not even in my room." Her immediate reply was, "Someone is then." I don't know why the idea that someone was in my room was so terrifying. I do live on campus and there are several people with keys and the right to come in my room and look around. But something about the situation had me going cold. My heart was racing and I was still hoping it was a joke, so I sent back, "Definitely not." She responded with, "They looked at me." I was still too scared to open the door to my room, which I'd been standing in front of for a couple of minutes now, so my roommate took my keys and opened the door. I was hesitant to enter, but of course there was no one in the room. It didn't stop me from turning on all the lights though and checking under the beds and in the closets. I called my girlfriend back on Skype. She'd hung up when I said I wasn't in the room because it scared her, and I got the rest of the story from her. She said she'd woken up about 15 minutes before and saw that Skype was still on. I had it on a tablet, which was propped up on my desk and facing my bed. She said when she woke up, she saw someone sitting on the bed. My bed is up against a wall, and she said the person was facing the wall, with their head down like they were reading a book. My girlfriend adjusted herself in her bed, and I guess the blankets made rustling noises because she said that the person on the bed lifted their head up and reacted as if they'd heard her moving. She said the way they reacted freaked her out and she shut her eyes and pretended to be asleep. The figure looked back down at their lap. It was several minutes more before my girlfriend said my name, trying to get my attention. There was no immediate reaction, and that's when she sent me the text message. I didn't reply to it, so she called my phone to bring attention to the message. It was right after she called that she said my name much louder, and the person turned around and looked at her. Immediately following this, she ended the call on Skype. Now, although we didn't have the lights on when we left, the blinds were up and our room was pretty bright. My girlfriend wears glasses, but her sight isn't so bad she might have mistaken one of my stuffed animals for a person or something silly like that. And she, of course, has no history of hallucinations or anything of the sort. I was standing outside the door while this exchange occurred, so it's not like someone could have left without me noticing either. My initial reaction was still that she was trying to freak me out, but she seemed to be just as scared as I was. Now, I won't lie, my girlfriend and I do frequent no sleep and have a tendency to get overly freaked out by things we read there, so I guess our overreactive imaginations could be playing a role. But there's just something about this situation that seems so real and terrifying. I'm not sure what my next step should be. I suggest leaving Skype on again for my girlfriend to see if the person would show up again, but she voted that idea away really quickly, as she said the thought scared her too much. Honestly, I'm not even sure if there's a need for me to take a next step, as this is the only weird thing that's ever happened to me in my dorm room. But I know how helpful the people who frequent this subreddit are and thought if there is anything I can do or should do, I would find help here. So if you have any advice, I'd really appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time to read this. My girlfriend from college moved back to Denmark after this last semester for good, and I'm back in California for the summer. We decided that Skyping would be the best way to keep in contact as we are unable to call each other now. Anyhow, about a week and a half ago we were Skyping and having a good old chat about flights and such when I suddenly felt something wet on the top of my foot. I was sitting at my desk with my feet under it, so I had no idea how my foot could get wet. So I looked down. My girlfriend watched as I had what must have appeared to be a minor breakdown when I realized that my foot was covered in blood. I ran downstairs to show my dad and told my girlfriend I'd be right back. My dad and I came back up and looked around for anything that could have happened to have dripped blood on my foot. In futility, of course. I went to the bathroom and washed it off and had no cut or anything that would hint at being my blood. So I get back up. I'm kind of creeped out, but I decided to simply ignore what just happened when my girlfriend asked me what may remain to this day as the single creepiest question I've ever heard. "Who was that guy that walked out of your room when you went to get your dad?" To this day, I brush the incident off as just some freak occurrence of random blood, but I can't shake the thought of that question because she said she watched him close my door as he left, a door that I left open on my way down.